You know, there's a feeling in the air lately, isn't there? Kind of this low hum of anxiety, a sense that the world is teetering on the brink of something big, something scary. It almost feels less like a maybe and more like a destination we're all hurtling towards. But here's the big question we've got to ask ourselves. Is that feeling a true reflection of reality? Is a major war actually inevitable? Or is it something we're building inside our own heads? A story we're telling ourselves over and over until it just feels true. That's what we're going to dig into. So first things first, let's get one thing straight. This feeling, it's not new, not by a long shot. You could feel it in the streets of Vienna back in 1914. This weird excitement historians call the August enthusiasm, like war was some kind of necessary storm. And you could for sure feel it during the Cold War, that constant background dread of the bomb. It seems like societies every now and then get gripped by this idea that a big war is just around the corner. To really understand why this happens, we have to start by looking inward. I'm talking about the very wiring of our brains. See, our minds are incredible pattern-finding machines, designed to make sense of a really complex world. But that same incredible machinery, well, it can also set some pretty convincing traps for us. Okay, so here's the first trap. It's something psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky called the availability heuristic. And it works like this. When our phones and TVs are just flooded with images of conflict, with experts warning of doom, with endless historical comparisons, our brains don't run a complex statistical analysis. Nope, they take a shortcut. They figure, hey, if I can think of it easily, it must be pretty likely. And just like that, war starts to feel inevitable, simply because we see it everywhere. And once that little seed of an idea that war is coming is planted, a second trap kicks in, confirmation bias. We basically become detectives looking for clues that prove we're right. Every failed diplomatic talk, another step towards the edge. Every military exercise, yep, that's the final rehearsal. We start to unconsciously filter out all the other stuff, you know, the peace talks, the cooperation, the de-escalation, because it just doesn't fit the story we've started to tell ourselves. Now this is where it gets really gnarly, because these things feed on each other. Researchers like Aaron Beck and Robert Sapolsky have shown how anxiety creates this vicious cycle. It starts with catastrophization. Our minds just leap to the absolute worst-case scenario. That triggers tunnel vision, where we literally can only see the threats and we ignore all the context. And all of this activates a chronic fear response, which messes with the rational part of our brain, the part we need to think clearly. It locks us deeper and deeper into the cycle. But look, this isn't just something that happens inside one person's head. These mental traps are contagious. An individual's anxiety, when it's shared and repeated, can spread through a whole society like a virus, turning a personal feeling into a collective, rock-solid certainty. And if you think I'm exaggerating, check out this number. A 2024 Pew Research study found that a whopping 60%, 60, of people in countries right on NATO's eastern flank believe a direct military conflict is possible in their lifetime. This isn't some fringe idea anymore. It's going mainstream. So how does it spread so fast? Well, today we have what you could call a modern amplification engine. Fear spreads through social media like wildfire. And the algorithms that run these platforms, they're designed for one thing, engagement. And they've learned that fear and anger get clicks. So they feed us more and more of it, creating these filter bubbles and echo chambers where the idea of inevitable war just becomes normal. It's reinforced by everyone and everything in our feed. But okay, algorithms and brain biases, that's only part of it. It goes deeper.
Our very modern anxieties often get poured into these ancient containers, these huge, sweeping stories about history and fate and human nature that we've inherited over centuries. Let's talk about how these powerful narratives shape what we believe.
I mean, think about it. That feeling that war is some kind of necessary cleansing storm, that's not a new 2020s idea. That's straight out of 1914 Europe. The feeling of just living with this accepted, constant threat of total annihilation, that was the Cold War. Our current anxiety isn't happening in a vacuum. It's reactivating these deep, historical ways of thinking about the world. And this really gets at the core philosophical battle that's been raging for centuries. On one side, you have thinkers like Hegel, who basically saw war as a necessary engine of history, part of the grand logic of progress. But on the other side, you've got people like Kant who argued that no, war is a total failure of reason, something we can and must grow out of. And then you have the existentialists like Sartre, who called believing in inevitability bad faith, a way of ducking our profound responsibility to actually choose peace. So, let's pull all this together. We've got our biased minds, which are then supercharged by technology, and all of that is built on a foundation of these powerful historical stories. But here is the most critical point of all. This belief in inevitability, it's not just a passive feeling. It's an active, powerful force in the world. Okay, so what's the bottom line? We've seen that this belief is a psychological construct, not some crystal ball. It's fueled by fear, it's amplified by tech, and it's given meaning by old stories. But here is precisely why that story is so dangerous. It doesn't just describe our reality, it has the power to actively shape it. And this is where it all leads, to the self-fulfilling prophecy. Because when leaders and generals and entire populations truly start to believe that war is inevitable, what do? They stop looking for compromise. They pour money into massive arms buildups. They start seeing preemptive strikes as a rational choice. The belief itself starts to create the very conditions that make war more and more likely. So in the end, all this research really leaves us with this one haunting thought. War is not inevitable, but the belief in its inevitability, well, that just might be the most dangerous illusion of all, because it's the one thing, the only thing, that could actually make it happen.